Hey there everybody, and welcome to episode 12 of my tutorial series for Rimworld. I'm Icon, and today we will fix a few electricity problems, and on top of that I want to dive a little bit deeper into a lot of different management issues that will arise now that the colony is growing a little bit larger. So we are using the crematorium now. Good old Fitz from last episode is not with us anymore. He ate my crops. He tried to kill my sheep. I had no other choice but to put him down. So there's a couple of things that I want to do today. So first off, I want to expand that barn to make it an indoors area. This is right now an outdoors area. But we also need to put up a few walls here extra, because if I don't, I will have a hole in my pen. Because if I just deconstruct these fences and then try to reconstruct walls, the sheep will run outside. Speaking about sheep, we had a couple of those and they aren't penned yet, so we'll have to rope them. Otherwise, they will run away sooner or later, and that would be a shame, wouldn't it? So Pi is obviously not even able to do animal work, so we'll have to send Smelly for that. And Bubbles has now some food poisoning. Well, poor Bubbles. Bubbles is right now also suffering from a mental breakdown where she's hiding in her room. This is among the most harmless mental breakdowns. It will simply bring your colonist to stay inside his room for a pretty long time, and that's all. So overall, there are more and less dangerous mental breakdowns, but we will survive. What's now way more important is that we will produce more power. So to achieve that, I'm going to, well, I want to let Pi sleep. Pi, you're very hungry. How about you eating something before you actually sleep? So with that, with those extra sheep, we should be able to do something. I'll either sell them or slaughter them. Let's see what we're going to be up to. So a couple of episodes ago, or last episode, I can't exactly remember anymore, there was some steel falling from the sky. I want to use that to kickstart my new solar panel production, because we will expand our power production with solar panels. I have researched them quite some time ago, and they are really good, and now we're going to use them to expand our power production accordingly. I'm now sending Emmanuel and Pi to haul as much of that steel back home as possible, because it's really not cool if that stuff lies outside there and it's just rotting. Another thing that we need to do today is we need to step into preparations for winter. So there's a couple of things up to do. So let's have some fun with that. So now we have the steel I think we need for the power panel, the solar panel. Yes, we need 100 steel, but we also need components. Components, well, components are pretty much necessary for every more complicated electrical bench and generator and whatsoever. You can acquire them out of several different sources. One of them is mining them out of compact machinery. This yields directly components. Another method is to wait until spaceship chunks fall from the sky. These can be deconstructed and yield a small amount of steel and a couple of components. And last but not least, in the beginning of the game, you can also trade them. Basically every of these purple faction bases has components for sale, and a lot of other traders will come through your base and offer you some. So that's how you usually pick up components during the early game, and Emmanuel is now ambrosia binging because he was sleeping in the cold. And we're getting raided. So, wow. That's Rimworld at its best. So we're being attacked by three pirates from the Thiever Society, and my strongest people are not available right now. So my enemies are also preparing for before they attack. I'll try to use that to my own advantage because right now we have two people on mental breakdown and Smelly is pretty wounded. So overall, this is a very, very unfavorable situation for us. Let's see. Pi is in a medium situation. Smelly will need some food before we can fight that. So you might think that it's a foolish idea to bring one person against three, and basically you would be right about that. But, well, there's a couple of tricks you can apply when fighting against raiders. You know, they aren't that intelligent after all. So, first thing that will happen with a party like this, they will see your colonist and then engage. Due to the fact that, you can mouse over here, Pi's weapon has a way higher range than the enemy has, we can fire one bullet and then just run away. Raiders have this odd behavior that they disengage immediately if you just run away. And you can repeat that ad nauseum. This is a way how to whittle down your enemies before they even act. It's really important though that you have some decent cover, because otherwise this trick doesn't really work well. You need to get out of their field of sight quite good, and I think Zerea is... Wait a sec. Okay, Optimist. I'm feeling like Zerea is pretty fast, but there's one thing. Zerea has really, really good stats on the weapons, so I'll have to take that seriously. So yeah, this goes now back and forth a bit. There's nothing bad happening for us. Going to bring Smelly up to that too, and luckily Bubbles is now available too. So Bubbles is very, very hungry though, and is suffering from food poisoning, so never mind. Bubbles will not be with us in this situation. Alright. So the pirates are now beginning their assault. And we're kind of like facing a worst case scenario right now, because we didn't land a single shot on them, and they are still engaging on us. So we see here there's one person with a ranged weapon and one person with a melee weapon. So we're going to go outside and try our luck. Here we go. We did land a hit on Zerea. Okay, so Zerea now goes into cover, and I don't want to be around here anymore. We're going away, and you see, they're unable to pass that door at this point. Perfect. So let's give our people a little bit of a break for a moment, and let's see what happens next. So these two guys are now running over here. There's one person called Ma with a knife, and as you see here, due to the fortifications we are using already, this fight is getting dragged along so good that we will face Ma completely away from his buddy. It's going to take forever until the reinforcements here arrive, and there's a certain chance that the person where we did land one bullet, Zerea, has a bullet in the leg, and therefore the movement speed is lowered. As you see, Rimworld is extremely detailed, but luckily all of these details are pretty much what I would call common sense. Like, you don't need to study any rule books to make that assumption that somebody with a bullet in his leg is moving slower. I mean, doesn't take a genius to get that idea, you know? And that's what I like about Rimworld. Most things are pretty logical. Yeah, logical is the word I want to use, so let's just hope for the best. Alright. And in this situation, I'm using Smelly now again as a melee bait, because I don't want anybody to be actually involved in this gunfight. Usually I'm using Bubbles for that job, but somebody with food poisoning should never ever be kiting, because food poisoning makes you damn slow. Okay, so we're swapping now between Pie and Smelly, because you know, when one person tries to attack your guy instead, yeah, you know, target swap is a thing that you can use. So, with some luck, Zerea will not even attack us. So I'll mix in these combat tutorial sessions into these videos because I feel like there's a lot to learn. I personally think that combat is one of the most complicated things in this game. So this is going a little bit bad, so I'm bringing bubbles now. Yeah, there we go. Oops. Here I accidentally selected both of them. That's not good. Alright, as soon as Bubbles is there, going to use the royalty skill of Burden to make sure that the kiting is a lot easier now. So that's all we needed. Bubbles can now go to bed again. So we need to take care though. Zerea is right around the corner. So I let Pie run away. Alright, I'll let both run away now. Because under no circumstances I want that this Zerea dude is allowed to take some shots on us. Because there's a high probability of us now completing this fight without any casualties on our side. Not a single hit, you know. There we go. Just like I said, Zerea is fleeing. Okay, so gotta admit this was one really, really tough and unfortunate situation that I wouldn't have survived without all the experience I already got. So if that happens to you and if you get overwhelmed by that, feel free to load the game and lower the difficulty accordingly. That's one thing that I can't emphasize enough with this game. If it's bothering you, if the combats are bothering you, just don't play Iron Man and reload if something really bad happens. Because the funny thing there is the storyteller AI doesn't fixate events. What I mean with that is, if I would reload now, the only thing that is for sure for the storyteller is that something bad has to happen. This does not have to be a raid. Down my door. Vandalism. Anywho, we survived, and sadly Emmanuel is now not available for us to get that solar panel done, but luckily Pi is there, so we're going to give Pi a nice night of sleep, and then we're going to make everything alright again. So I'll send Bubbles to cook some meal. Bubbles is now recovering from food poisoning. This was a wonderful example for mental breakdowns making combat situations really, really difficult. I mean, as you noticed there, you can cheese the AI quite a lot, but yeah, it takes quite some experience to do so. But, well, that's one thing I like about Rimworld. These mechanics to fight look a little bit iffy at first, but the longer you play it, the more fun it is to crank out a little bit more than that, and a little bit more than that, and beating down large amounts of enemies with very uneven odds is a lot of fun. Right now I'm sending Bubbles to haul that food a little bit back home because I don't want to deteriorate on the fields. Okay, it's nighttime and it's Pie's time to shine. Oh, we're actually harvesting some smoke leaf too. But for today I need to micromanage Pie a little bit more manually because I want to have extra power sources at the end of the day. So, oh yeah, I got interrupted by all these accidents or incidents. I wanted to talk about components. Once you have fabrication and advanced fabrication researched, these two technologies unlock the production of components and advanced components. Basically, components are nothing more than 12 units of steel and some working time at the fabrication bench. The problem is just the technology to get there. Okay, I just wanted to wrap up that topic. Now, solar generators and wind turbines have a wonderful synergy together because a solar panel does not interfere with the power production of the wind turbine, because the wind turbine is, well, it's altitude-wise higher than the solar generator, and therefore, unlike trees, the solar generator doesn't block the power generation of the wind turbine, which is really, really awesome, because that means you can easily pair wind turbines and solar generators together. And this is a very common and popular strategy to produce power. Smelly is starving. Okay. Because they are such a good such a good pair. The solar generators produce power during the day under any circumstances, unless there's a eclipse. That's one event that would disable the solar generators, but beyond that, the solar generator has way more reliability in its power output, because unlike the wind turbine, the solar generator will always have a steady output of 1700 watt during daytime. That's just something you can rely on. So the wind turbine, though, is a very unreliable power source, but I always feel like together they make up a great team, because well, not yet. Because the unreliability of the wind turbine gets somewhat mitigated by the medium power production of the solar generator. So if ever your batteries should run low during nighttime because of the solar generators not producing power, there's a high chance of wind turbines producing the power on the side which you need during night. So we have a Psychic Soothe event. And remember when I was talking about Smelly's psychically sensitive? So the Psychic Soothe event is just giving a positive mood bonus to every female person on the map. Psychically sensitive people get more bonus from that. So it's a double-edged sword. That's all I want to say. Alright, so we have to dispose of these bodies here too. And we also need to finish those wall works as soon as possible. But the good news, Smelly is now back to healthy, and she's going to help our colony a lot. So the first thing that I want to do here is, well, I'm going to send Emmanuel to cut some more stones, because he doesn't have the building material he needs to get things going here properly. And I really want to get these defenses going. Okay, I was talking about another topic at the beginning of this episode, and that was winter preparations. Right now, my people need better clothing. Emmanuel and Bubbles don't have jackets, so their minimum comfortable temperature is really, really not too good. Pi is wearing at least a jacket. Light leather might be not the best material, but at least the insulation is down to -5 degrees. So to be really sure and to show off how good a parka can be, we're going to craft a couple of parkas. So parkas need 80 ingredients of any leather. So when you fold out the menu here, you can see how much leather of every type you have. So we need 240 leather for this job, and we only have 61 plain leather. Of course, there's always one other option, and that's making patch leather. This is a process which transforms any leather that is available right now into so-called patch leather, which is basically the worst leather in game, but it has the advantage that you can just produce it out of everything you want. But look at that, there's the first batch of sheep wool available. Our sheep are now providing the first parka. And sheep wool is a really, really good material. This is, the cold insulation of that material alone is crazy. So we're going to have really good parkas here. So there's a shaman merchant approaching. We're going to trade with this guy. Shaman merchants are basically animal merchants. They always come from the tribal factions, and they come with a little bit of animals. Here we could buy us some chicken and a bull, but I'm not interested right now. They're also selling some Nutramine. That's quite uncommon. Nutramine is used for medicine and drug production. We're really far away from that. Oh, he's also featuring plasteel. Plasteel is basically a sci-fi version of steel, and it's among the most powerful metals in game and used for a lot of high-tech applications. There's also a psychic shock lance and a psychic insanity lance. These psychic items are one-shot, well, magical items. In a fantasy game, this would be a wand of stunning or stuff like that. So the psychic shock lance is putting somebody into a catatonic breakdown, and the psychic insanity lance is triggering a berserk on the target, which makes the person go ham on his buddies. We're going to buy the psychic insanity lance because these items are really, really powerful. Can't emphasize how useful they are enough. Okay, so I'm going to sell away one of my sheep to cover the bill. And here we have now the psychic insanity lance. This item, for example, would have been a awesome addition for the situation when we got attacked a couple of minutes ago. Sending one of those guys against the rest of the squad would have been a really good way of dealing with that situation too. But at the end of the day, you really need to see for yourself which method applies best to you. My personal opinion. With these items, like psychic shock items or psychic items in general, they are very costly, and well, I think this one is a 2-use item. Yes, remaining charges 2. So at least you can use it twice. You have to equip it to your people, and then when you draft it, it's just a weapon that has a certain range. And yeah. It's easy to waste them, but they can prove invaluable in lots of really difficult and deadly situations. And more often than not, I was really, really happy about the fact that I had one of those. So we are now at the point where we should consider hunting more animals. Or sending Emmanuel to craft something. Yeah, because I do have enough sheep wool to get the job done. Speaking about getting the job done, what I notice here is that hauling jobs are not getting done well enough. But, well, let's see if Bubbles gets back to his job sooner or later. So the older a colony grows, the more different and complicated jobs arise, and the more micromanagement you have to do here. This is just the way it goes in the long run. So we are now slowly leaving the early game and transitioning into the mid game. We have a proper colony. The only thing which is really still quite bad for us here is the... Oops, I went to Taylor. Is the amount of people in my colony. We could support way more people than that. So Emmanuel is now starting to craft one of those sheep wool parka. I guess there would be even... well, we can't see how far the wool has grown. We could be even relying on the sheep alone for clothing, but I don't want to. What if it goes wrong, you know? But let's check if I can see. So we see wool type, wool amount, wool shearing interval, 10 days. So considering that this is when... So that's 7 more days until these can be sheared, because I guess they gain 10 person per day if it's 10 days. So Emmanuel has crafted his sheep wool parka, normal quality, and remember him only tolerating down to 5 degree. Now he's tolerating a whopping minus 47 degree. That's the power of sheep wool. So the sheep wool added the 26 degree insulation on top of the base value of the parka. The exact calculations of insulations in this game elude me. I honestly never tried to understand it completely. What I do like to do is to evaluate materials here at the benches. If you go into the job and press that I directly under the job, you can check out different materials. I found that always very, very informative compared to pondering how these stats would work. Here you can just check out. That's the stats of a lizard skin parka, and that's the stats of a muffalo wool parka. It's really useful to know, to check this out from time to time. But this will be never ever enough leather to support the entire colony, so we have to acquire some more leathers. Plain leather would be the leather of my choice, and there's donkeys and alpacas. It's a tragedy to hunt these, but we will do nevertheless. So I'm going to hunt the donkeys and the alpacas, even though I would prefer to tame them, but my animal park here is already pretty big, so I think we don't need to. Alright, also my first harvest of smoke leaf leaves is done. That stuff really is called smoke leaf leaf. Don't ask. So we can now produce smoke leaf joints. These are done at the crafting spot and later at the drug table, but before that we have to work at the crafting spot. I personally like to put this crafting spot into the vicinity where I store these items, and I'll just put these onto forever builds, because, you know, this way we keep producing joints until there's no material to work with anymore. But since I don't want my people to go inside there, transform this stuff into joints, and then walk all the way over there to put down the joints here, we will instead drop down a new stockpile zone here and clear everything and search for the smoke leaf joint, allow it here, and put the priority on important. This way all the smoke leaf joints in the colony will be stored now in the kitchen. Well, that's one thing to think about, but it's not necessarily the worst. But it also makes the production of these items very smooth. So, most interestingly enough, the production of smoke leaf joints is also... I want to show you something. Don't want to say it out loud because I'm not sure if I am mistaken, but as far as I remember, oddly enough, rolling a smoke leaf joint increases your cooking, if I remember right. As you see here, it's a painstakingly slow process. It's taking hours of Bubbles' work time, but yeah, there you see. You level up cooking by crafting these. Don't ask why. So the thing about crafting spots is they reduce the work speed tremendously, and obviously this room is even cold, so the work speed is lower again. So we could do two things. We could either put up a heater inside here or put up a little fire. Since I have that much wood here, well, this torch produces only a small amount of heat. Let's try if this is going to be good enough. So, let's check it out. The indoors temperature is slowly climbing from that. And let's check out this one again. So, still considered bad temperature inside there. The other method you could apply would be just to build a heater inside there, but yes. Now the work speed factor is at 50%. 50% work speed factor is a pain. You really would love to not have these, but before you have researched the drug production, you have no access to the drug lab, and therefore TLDR, the smoke leaf joint production is very inefficient before you have that technology, but at the other hand, I like to have smoke leaf joints in the house because of several reasons. They do sell for quite a lot of money, and the effects as a drug aren't that horrible. But I don't want to talk about drugs in this episode too much, because that's a very deep topic which needs way more time than these few minutes that we have left. So another thing that I want to do now is I want to put Smelly on a top hunting priority. Simple reason behind that, she's really bad at shooting, but hunting animals which don't fight back, like these, when it fights back, it has a percentile number back here. Then with these hunting jobs, you can train your bad shooters insanely good. This is basically free shooting training. You see, she doesn't gain too much experience per shot because she's not passionate about it, but at the same time, eventually she will transform into a decent shot there. As you see here, Pi wasn't too talented either, and he's already at a rank of 7. So stuff is working out in the long run. And Smelly is already almost leveled up again, so you see they really gain experience quite quickly. As a little quality of life tip at this point, try to give bad shooters weapons that have no long wind-up times. Like the bolt-action rifle would be a horrible weapon for a bad shooter due to the simple reason that they have a low accuracy. It's better to shoot more often to train your skill than to shoot only a couple of times and you're doomed to miss. This way, the colonist trains not only his shooting skill, but also has a decent chance of actually hunting something. So Bubbles is going to smash things in her room. They just do that. She's jealous of Smelly's bedroom. Okay. So that's enough for this episode, I'd say. So this episode was already a little bit spread about, and I can't avoid that for the coming episodes, so I will always try to keep a main topic on the episodes, like today the expansion of the power grid and winter preparations, which were basically the production of clothing and how to evaluate the proper clothing. So I will always try to have one main topic per episode, but the things that happen now in between the game make really good things to do explanations with, so I hope that's okay for you guys. Alright, drop me your comments down below, feel free to give me feedback about that question there, and of course leave a thumbs up on that video if you liked it, and feel free to subscribe to my channel and turn on those notifications to miss no daily video from my side. Have a nice day, my friends, and next episode we're going to see if we're able to do this damaged ship quest, because this is going to be a combat quest, and I'm looking forward to that, because I love combat in Rimworld. See you guys next time. Bye-bye.